Hey, what's up? It's Greg with How to Build Games. Today I'm going to talk about game developer productivity tips. You need a place to capture ideas, you need a way to capture and track tasks, and you're also going to need some kind of backup. First, ideas. You need a place to capture all your ideas. And these are all the crazy ideas, the good ideas, the maybe not as good ideas. It doesn't matter. You need a place to capture them. Google Docs is a great way to do that. A wiki, if you're more technically minded, can be a really neat way, especially if it's a bigger game, to kind of keep up with things. But I usually have a Google Doc that has a lot of different ideas for a lot of different games. But if one game is something that I'm working on, or it looks like it's really kind of getting momentum, then a lot of times I'll move that stuff into its own Google document. And you want to keep all kinds of ideas in here. So we're talking about gameplay ideas, expansion ideas, new levels down the road, monetization ideas, marketing ideas. Even if these ideas are beyond where you think you currently are, or if you don't think they're that great, it's still good to capture them down because it might not be great for this project, but it might be good for the next project. And if you're working on a lot of different things or getting older, it's good to capture these ideas. Then when you go back to this project, days, weeks, months, years down the road, you can pick that doc back up and find all those things in that place that relate to that one thing. I've got docs full of game ideas going back years and years. And I'm really, really, really thankful because I still go back and read through those sometimes and go, oh yeah, that was a great idea. So capture the ideas when you have them. A lot of times I'll use notes on my phone to grab the idea if I'm laying in bed, as I'm falling asleep or just waking up. It's a great time for really cool ideas. Capture it and then go to sleep or get up or whatever. Capture the idea as it comes. Probably won't come back the same way later on. Second thing, you need a specific place to keep up with specific tasks. Now, this is more once you're kind of past the brainstorming, but more into the development phase. You want to keep up with things that you need to do, and that can be bugs, that can be current features you're working on. You can have features and subtasks, like these 10 subtasks relate to the tutorial, something like that. This can be wish list items, so you've taken that big list of ideas and you've narrowed it down and said, okay, these are the things that are going to be in there that I want to see in there someday. We usually have like wish list stuff that is someday down the road, I'd like this to be in there. I usually have next version, and that can be like if I'm working on 1.0, this is going to go in 1.1 or maybe a 2.0. You can kind of find those things and sort them and shuffle them around. A place to keep up with the bugs where you can keep track of them. As you find things, if you're in the middle of working on something, you find a bug, you can hop over to the software, put it in there, go back to what you were doing. That way, you're not losing momentum or too much on what you're doing, but that bug is still captured, and you're not wondering about it later. What was that thing, that weird thing that I saw? So, because you never know whether it's going to pop up, and it may never pop up again. And if it doesn't, that's good-ish. But capture it when you can. That's the key there. So a place for these specific tasks can be something like Trello. It can be a spreadsheet, and whether that's Google Docs or OpenOffice or Excel, any of that stuff works. I like things like Trello, and there's another piece of software called Kanban Flow that I'll show in a moment here, are really good for kind of keeping up with things. I've tried doing it in a spreadsheet, and you can, but it can get kind of hairy when you've got a task and you've got subtasks, and maybe the subtasks have subtasks, and you're trying to organize and arrange, and do I keep up with things by tabs, or do I keep up with things by colors, or both? And because the spreadsheet was not really meant to be a task manager. You can use it for one to a degree. I mean, if you've just got a list of these 10 things need to get done today, then a spreadsheet can work well for that. And you can say, these are the top items, these are the it'd be good if it gets done, and okay if it doesn't, and these are the ones that probably shouldn't even be on the list. That's kind of a getting things done productivity thing that would be for another time. Let me show you some of the best tools that I found and what I personally use with my stuff. So this is Trello. A lot of people are probably familiar with it. You've got different tasks. You've got different boards that you can put in to keep up with things in different ways. Trello's been around a long time. It's got an app. People are tagged for different projects and tasks. It can notify them and things like that. It's pretty handy. I don't use it as much as some people. There is a free version. There's also a paid version. I prefer a program that's like Trello, but a little bit different. The website is Trello.com. The one that I prefer is Kanbanflow.com. Lean Project Management Simplified. Now, they also have a paid version and a free version, but I've used the free version for years, and I've never really run into problems with it. It's worked really well for me. So the basic idea here is very similar. If you're familiar with Trello, this is going to look very similar. At the time, Trello did not let you put subtasks on a task where I can say, get tutorial finished, and I can put 8 tasks below that and knock those things out and mark them off as they were done. They've since added that, but I really got used to Kanban Flow. There's a couple other things with it that I'll tell you about that I like. I'll actually show it to you because I've got a project that I use it with. So the same basic idea, this is kind of what most of the Kanban Flow boards start out as: to do today, in progress, and done. Same basic idea. You create these things, you move them back and forth. It's in progress, you move it there. When it's done, you move it there. That basic idea. The really cool stuff, though, is when you start getting into attachments, subtasks, deeper descriptions, timers, and stuff like that. We'll get right back to Kanban Flow. The other one that I'm going to show is hackandplan.com. Have not used hackandplan.com, but a lot of game developers swear by it because it was made specifically for game development to help you keep up with your tasks, all the different things. This is probably going to be better. It's going to be more specialized, organized by technical discipline. That's a big plus. Pricing is reasonable. Especially any of these things, the more people you have, you're probably going to end up paying a little bit of money, but very reasonable. Hackandplan.com is their website. Give it a look. Got some cool stuff on it. But I want to show you Kanban Flow in action. So this is my Kanban board for my Rolling Blocks game that I've mentioned and even shown in some of these other episodes. So my list of boards is usually different from item to item. Done is self-explanatory. It keeps up with when things are done. That's nice. I've got tasks. See all the different items. You can check and uncheck. You can color code the different things. You can add different descriptions. Very handy, especially if you're trying to track down bugs, things like that. Good stuff. Move the needle items. These are things that would make a really big difference when they got done. Do today, to do. Enough. There's UI work. 3 things I need to do that. Questions to answer. These are questions that I kind of ask myself, like, is pinch and zoom critical for version 1? What happens when they press next level? Currently goes back to title. Should probably do this, but it doesn't. So these are kind of questions that I ask myself over the course of the development and will eventually have to answer in some way. But it's just kind of good to get those out of your brain. That's the point of this whole thing. Get things out of the brain and put them somewhere so you can focus on what you're focusing on. Bugs, graphical and UI issues. A lot of times when you're doing stuff, you'll see something and be like, "Oh, I need to fix that, or I need to get the artist to fix that." It's really good, again, just like the bugs, to be able to come and drop a note in there and get back to what you were doing. Then you can worry about it later if it shows back up or whatever. I like to have stuff for analytics, different things that I want to do. Here's an example of what I've got. My someday items, get it working with Cloud Build again. So this is one board. I've got a bunch of them. For for different APIs, different versions of different programs, different reports, different projects. So it's really, really, really useful. One of the other really cool things that they've got is the timer. You can pick a task, say this is the thing I'm going to work on, and start that 25-minute Pomodoro timer. Now, Pomodoro technique is a whole different video that I will make. When I make, it'll be tagged and it'll show up. But I'm not going to cover that today. It's a very effective technique. That'll probably be the next video. Very effective technique to take some of these items and find little pockets of time to fill in content, to work on things, to get things done when you did not think you were going to be able to get things done. It's also a really good way to maintain focus and get in the flow of things. So lastly, I want to talk about backing up. You've got to have backups of your software. You've got to have backups of the things you're developing. The more, the better. I back up my Unity scenes by duplicating those scenes inside of Unity so that if one of them corrupts, I can go back to an earlier one. As I change things, I can go back to earlier versions if I need to. Unity scenes are really small in terms of disk space, so I have a bunch of them numbered incrementally, level 004 underscore, and then a description of something I'm changing in that particular one. I usually have backups of that. I usually zip up the source code every so often. I'll put that on a server somewhere, put it in a Dropbox. Version control is its own subject for its own video that will be at some point, but not today. But using version control software like Git, particularly for your code, it does not work with art assets. Well, it can't tell the difference between the Photoshop file over here where your text is red and the Photoshop file over here where your text is blue, or even the PNG or JPEG file where your text is red and blue, other than the fact that it's different. But if you say, hey, where was that one where the text was blue, not red, it's not going to help. But in your code, it will. In your code, if you get to a point and go, oh, this is all really broken, I need to go back to before I started doing all this rabbit trail, you can do that. That's what version control is for. You can revert just that one piece software. I use Git, GitLab on private servers, Bitbucket, I use GitHub. Any of those work. There are a number of other version control softwares out there that people like and use, but you really should have version control. Zipping up your files is a backup. It's not version control. Version control can help you see where an issue popped up. If you've got multiple people working on a project, it's really useful for the source code aspect to deal with that. If there's a bug introduced, find out when it got introduced and who put it in there, so you can go and say, hey, this broke everything else, so please read the comments next time, or whatever you need to do. But it's really, really good. Version control is a must. It really is. Now, I will make a video on how to get started with version control. Again, that's for another day. So, post in the comments, are you using version control? If so, what are you using? Are you using Git? Are you Perforce? Whatever. And post in the comments and let me know what's your favorite productivity tip that I did not get to today. I'm not going to have a what's Greg working on, what's Greg playing this week, because I'm not sure if people like it, honestly. If you like that stuff too, again, let me know in the comments. If you want to see that, if you want to see what I'm working on each week, if you've watched these other videos, you've seen what I'm working on each week, what I'm playing. If these things are interesting, leave a note, let me know. I'll be back in the next episode. Meanwhile, check out some of the other videos that I've been creating. I think you'll find them interesting. And give us a like and a subscribe if you want more content like this, and we'll catch you next time.